All right, so what do we got today, right? Well, I just want to touch base on honing, honing with tape. Now, this can be a controversial subject for a lot of people. It seems to be like this volatile situation, whether or not you should hone with tape. Me, I hone with tape like when I want to, and I don't when I don't. That's the way I deal with it. Um, it's just tape, right? And this is just a razor. The only thing I do with this is I shave, and that boils down to cutting hair off my face, right? Um, Pretending that this is some sort of implement for I don't know, NASA, and it has to be some kind of you know it has to be sharpened at some level of perfection or whatever. I'm just don't get with that at all, you know. So I got a couple of different types of tape out here, and anyway, the whole thing about tape, the controversy, whatever. Seriously, it's just tape. There are a lot of arguments against tape. There's this one guy who, I just basically want to tell him to shut the fuck up. He's just like, oh, if you hone on tape, you're gonna ruin the razor and kill it, and blah 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 blah. It's like this never-ending litany of bullshit that comes out of his mouth. Look, you hone with tape when you want to. You hone with tape when you don't want to. If you don't like honing with tape, fine, that's for you. But guess what? There are people who like honing with tape for a number of reasons. So, what would the reasons be? All right. There's a bunch. All right. First and foremost, for me, right? Like I got this nice set of blades here. Right. Semi-impressive. Not museum quality, but since most of what I shave on is like a $20 razor from eBay, stuff like this is like amazing. So basically, this is Greaves blade, kind of a heavy grind. You can see, you know, um, very little hollow, very like almost not there at all. Shoulderless design, right? But and like I'm probably gonna cut and drop a photo in here because I don't think you're gonna be able to see it. I'm gonna try and catch it in the light, but up on the spine, yeah, I'm gonna have to drop in a photo. It's gonna be tricky to shoot, but you can just about pick it up like over here. There's etching up here. This was a custom set for like some guy. It appears there was someone going into the military. They numbered blades 1, blade 2. Um, I got them. The scales were cracked. These are replacements. Brian Brown did that for me. And, nothing, these are ivory. It's nobody, went out and killed Dumbo for these. This was certified, harvested long ago, repurposed, so on and so forth. I did it to maintain the aesthetic. I am not an ivory head, um, but I certainly do not think that people should be hunting elephants. Anyway, that's another story. Anyway, so I got this blade. Sorry about that little distraction. Um, so if I hone on this, I'm going to kill that edge up here, and that's integral to the aesthetic of this blade. So I'm going to want to protect it. The only way to protect it that I know of, well, two ways. Hone it freehand, which sucks, all right? Possible, but like I just don't want to do that. The angle will be too high anyway, or to just put some tape on it, so protect the history of the blade and so on and so forth. So like that's one reason. All right. So You know, they're both the same. They're both etched. They want to maintain their look or whatever. So there's that. Another reason. What's another reason? Okay, so you might remember this one. This is the Greaves. I did that bevel setting video on. Right now, this is a very heavy grind. Right now, again, I don't know if I can show it. Let me see if I can do it here. Just happen to have well, about 10 or 20 tomos hanging around. All right, so try and angle it. Maybe I'll do a shot on this too. There's almost no gap in there. That it's that heavy. So it's like a 1/16 hollow. There's a little tiny grind, but so to hone this, I'm not concerned about wearing anything over here on the spine because there is nothing there, and I'm not concerned about putting a flat on it because I don't care about that. But I do want to not have a ginormous bevel. All right. And, I have to measure in this all out. If I put a piece of tape on it, it comes up to a place where I'm comfortable with. And it helps me get the blade up off the stone, which actually does help you hone a little bit more efficiently. It leaves the blade looking a little bit nicer. And it saves you a lot of effort because you're not dragging a mile of steel on over the stone. You're only putting down like what you need up here at the bevel. So that's one reason. Another reason why I would use tape. Right? Is there a third reason? Well, sure there is. And I'm going to cover. There's two actually, and maybe another one that I can't remember right now. But right at the moment, you might remember this guy. I just did a video with this. So basically I've done some work on this blade since that video because I just really didn't like the way it chafed. If you remember, I think the bevel angle calculator put this at about 19 degrees or something like that, and I tell you, I just prefer a more acute angle than that. All right, so basically, right, what I did right here, and you see that flat on the spine? It's monstrous, right? It's super ugly. It's dropping down to the toe. Is like a curve there. Same on this side, right? Just this big giant thing. Looks like, I don't know, an eighth of an inch or something like that. Yeah, I don't really care about this razor, and I usually, wear on a blade to me is just whatever, if there's no etching or anything there, I don't care. It's just par for the course. It's a tool, my screwdrivers are not in like immaculate mint condition, so, I look at razors kind of the same way. If I have a really, really, really nice blade, I do have a nice Greaves. Is it a Greaves? Yeah, I think it's a Greaves FBU I got from Brian again, and it's in nice scales, and it's rare and it's pretty. It has no etching on it, but I might put tape on that just to kind of like keep the lines, But that's an aesthetic thing, and it's a rare thing. For me, this whatever, I don't care. So you're like, Keith, well, you put spine wear. What are you talking about tape for? Well, to get this to shave how I want, right? I had to decrease this dimension without decreasing. Now, be careful, I'll cut my freaking finger off. Without decreasing this dimension. This thing's home like it's nuts right now. It's not going to hold the edge, but like right now, the edge is screaming. Anyway, so what I did here, I taped the edge. And by protecting the edge, I protected that width dimension, and I was able to put enough wear on here to a point where I got the blade to shave how I want it. Now, there's a number of other ways to do that, but whatever. However you get this, however you get this. So I taped the edge here, and I wore the spine down intentionally. Now, that's a little weird, right? The other thing is, right, for example, let's just say that I wore this down too thin. Like I took too much off and I had it down to 14 degrees. It would never hold that edge. Right? This particular razor here in my hand, I can tell you, would never hold a 14-degree bevel. There may be another gold dollar that will, but this one will not. Sorry, they're not that consistent. Okay, you got to kind of go one by one with them. So if I got it down to 14, I was like, oh shit, I can't keep an edge on it. I would put some tape on it to bring it up. You know, and the tape I usually puts on about 1 degree per layer. So let's say this was at 14. I put 2 layers on, bring me to 16, and then I stand a better chance of, being where I got to be. To be completely honest, if I goofed that bad and reduced this dimension, I wouldn't bother doing that. Not with a gold dollar. I would throw it out and I would start with a new one. I would not bother with a $3 razor. But, if I had that situation with a blade that I did like this one, and then I would do it, and here you have a razor, right? You can see I got spine wear, ton of it. It's ugly. The shaves very, very well. Bevels are uneven. Spine wear's uneven. Basically, engineering-wise or whatever you want to call it, it looks like ass, but it shaves really well. I don't even know what the bevel angle on this is. I don't care. I only start getting into that if things aren't going right. I'm not overly anal retentive about that. So anyway, that's my bit with that. So tape. What tape? Well, white tape. I went over white tape. What tape is I use this stuff, right? So this is 3M, right? This is 1700 Tenaflex, and this is Super 88. The Tenaflex is thinner. Obviously, this is thicker. They both seem to last just as long. I use them interchangeably. I have to remember if I'm using one or the other on any particular blade. So if I go back to rehone it, I remember which one I use. Most of the time, honestly, I use this. I didn't buy this stuff to hone with. I buy this stuff. I have bought this stuff in the past by the sleeve. I've done a lot of electronics work. I have a fetish for tube amplifiers and rebuilding them. I designed my own. I built my own guitar amp, so on and so forth. So I do a lot of prototyping and a lot of testing. And before I nail stuff down, I might just complete a circuit by twisting and then taping over just to see what's going on. So I basically have a shit ton of this tape. So I hone on this, and it lasts, but you have to change it because it wears. All right, so it's the thing, you have to be cognizant of that when you're honing on the tape and you bevel setting. You're going to be wearing the tape. That dimension is dropping, so it's not where you started at. So when you wear to a point, you have to be able to sense it and see it. You have to change the tape. So it's a pain in the ass, actually, and that's one of the reasons I don't get into this as the thing that I do. There are people who just only ever hone on tape, and I don't get that. But if it makes them happy, whatever. Cutting, just simple, right? That's it. There's all types of dispensers and whatever. I just use scissors. It's no big deal, really. The whole concept of honing on tape, and over time, as you're honing, this dimension here is diminishing. All right, you're bringing the edge closer to the spine. Yes, that will happen. All right. I don't know how long you got to hone on tape to cause that problem. I guess you would have to figure out how much you're taking off every time, and go on and on and on and on. But as best I can tell, there aren't huge stockpiles of razors that have been destroyed by honing on tape. In fact, I know for a fact that doesn't exist, right? So this fabricated fear that people pontificate on in an attempt to sound good or knowledgeable and impress the newcomer, it really pisses me off. Okay, I just wish it almost wasn't legal for people to say shit like that. But hey, that's the internet. Now, one way, to get past all of that, if you needed to, you could just tape and then set the bevel and then pull the tape and then reset. Now, the bevel set stage is where you're going to probably see most of your wear on the lower grit stones. So if you get through that on tape and you pull it off, now you're 1 degree away from where it was with tape, and honing that back in doesn't take that long. It's like real fast, okay? So you're going to add a little spine wear, but not the same amount you would see if you had just honed straight without tape in the first place. Me personally, whatever. I don't really think that spine wear is something to get like crazy about. So, how do you put tape on the blade? This might be something to take a look at. Get yourself a roll of tape. Oh yeah, and why do I use electrical tape? Well, because I have it, and other people use it, and they seem to like it. And there's this guy who purports to be like a scientist or some shit, and he once said that he uses Scotch tape. And started thinking about it, and I'm guessing that there are other types of tape that you can use. I tried the Scotch tape thing. I don't know if that guy is, in another orbit in another like solar system, or maybe he just has different tape than me. But it didn't work. Not for me. It just became a mess real fast, and it's just me. If it works, it works. You want to test it, test it. If it works for you and you like it, go for it. I'm guessing that the dimension of the Scotch tape is, less than half of this. I forget what the numbers are, but so that would be something to think about. All right. So you want to start with your cut being, close to square. You want to start forward of what do you call it? Shoulder or stabilizer. You don't want to be like right even with it. See? Because if you do come up too far, you might run into a problem. Some people will tell you that doesn't happen. But you see what I got here? Right? I have a little bit of an angle is what I got. Okay, so I want to pull it off. And I want to try and recenter it. I'm trying to do this on camera, and it's not easy. All right, so there, I'm pretty much in the middle of the tape now. Now, why is that important? I'll get to that as soon as I show you the end thing here. So you have this little stupid tail sticking off, right? Take your scissors and go, dink. The tape usually sticks like that. It's very convenient. Do not close the blade right now. Just put it down and then touch the tape with your finger and it comes up. Put it on the back of your hand or out of the way, because this stuff has a way of getting into things that you got to get it in the garbage can or something. All right, so now you have this, right? I can tell you this is a little off, but for the sake of discussion here, I'm not really worried about it. Just smoothing it down on the spine, making sure there's no like stupid air bubbles poking up, because that can be a pain in the ass. All right, smooth, done, right? That's it. You can see there's a little bit more over here. I would not want to have that on this particular blade, and I'll get into that in a second. All right. If you wind up with this, it's not the end of the world. Watch. It's like magic. You just grab the tape and you pull it off. All right. I know, a little bit of sarcasm. Let me get another piece of tape here. Anyway, so why is it important to try and be even? Well, on a hollow, a very hollow, right? It's not going to matter, because the ends, the edges, side, whatever, the long dimension of the tape is going to ride up into the hollow and be completely out of the way. All right. Now, if you have to do this like 10 times, don't worry about it. Just do it 10 times. It's tape. It costs like, I don't know, this piece of tape is like, it's not even a penny's worth of tape. I think the roll, was $1. Okay, so, don't really go nuts on that. All right. So I got two things going on here. This end is too long. Right, see, it was going to come down. So I'm just going to come in here and go snoop. All right, a little snoop. Okay. Fold that back. Get this off. And get that off. All right, so there you go. A little closer, but still not perfect. On this blade, there's actually enough of a curve in the grind to not cause a problem. Let's say this was a wedge, right? A perfect wedge, a real wedge, right? One that is just flat from stem to stern or top to bottom. You know, there's absolutely no grind. You got to get the tape on as perfect as possible, and every time you replace the tape, you kind of got to do the same thing. Now, there's a shortcut to that. But let me go over why. Because the blade's going to ride on the tape, all right? If this line is down here, the angle from where my thumb is to the blade is going to be like what your bevel set angle is going to be, and that's not really what you want. You want this tightened up. You want this up a little bit higher, like where your wear would normally be, all right? Now you can see there's a little bit more tape on this side than the other side. On this blade, it's not going to matter. I know this because I've sat down with it and taken a look at it. I dislike honing wedges on tape because of this. It drives me nuts, but there's a secret. So what you do is when you have a heavy wedge, you spend like a lot of time getting your first piece down correctly, all right? And then you put another piece on top. And that's the piece you replace. You leave the base piece in there. You know, there's a couple other ways to do this, but that's one way to like make your life a little better. What you don't want to be doing on a perfect wedge or, you know, a real wedge, 100% wedge, is constantly replacing your tape like at that level. It will make you insane. It makes me insane. If you're like me, you'll go insane trying to do that. It's just like, whoa, you know. It makes honing not fun. All right, so leaving the base down and putting a layer over it, you'll find that a lot of times with those big ass wedges, especially if it's a really big blade, 2 pieces of tape is where you want to be anyway. But you got to use the bevel angle calculator to know. I showed you that in the last video. Always rely on that, you know, before you go making decisions like that. Once you take steel off, it doesn't go back on. So you could get yourself into trouble or just cause yourself a lot of extra work. But from experience, I've honed this a bunch of times. I can tell you this unevenness on here, I'm fine. It's not that bad. It looks worse on camera. I'm looking at it in the monitor, and some reason or another, it looks worse that way. But anyway, I'm just going to take it off. So what happens is, you know, you're done honing. Pull your tape. Oh, there's tape residue. Oh, crap. What do I do? This is what you do. You got a little smudgy in there. You take the tape and you go, right, and you pick up all your goo. Usually picks up like 99% of it, and now you can just rub the rest off with your fingers. All right. Just about any other way to take it off is going to cause you grief unless you use a solvent, and you don't need a solvent for this. Anyway, so that's what I would do with that one. And that's the tape thing, you know. It's not a whole lot to know there, you know. It's a very simple topic. It's okay to use tape. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Any alleged damage is, in my opinion, it's bullshit. Okay, you know, we get these razors and they got pieces missing and what have you, and you know, putting a little bit of tape on it to get it honed so you can use it. You know, please, you know. I think I did try to figure it out once, like, you know, trying to figure out like how many times I would hone on tape before I was causing myself a problem, and I wasn't able to actually do it because once you have the bevel set done, you know, unless you like bang the razor up somehow, you usually don't have to go back past like, I'll take a guess, 5K or something like that, and you're not really pulling a lot of metal off if you're honing on 5K. Once you're done on 5K, I'm talking cents now, obviously. You get to an 8K. I never do more than 20 strokes on an 8K, and I don't even like doing 20 strokes. There's no point, you know? I think, going more strokes than that on an 8K is detrimental to the edge. Of course, it depends on where your edge was to start off with. So if the edge was honed correctly on 5K and all the previous work was done correctly, I think like continuing on 8K for an extended period of time is not only unnecessary, I think you cause yourself problems. That's for me, okay? There's another genius out there. He said he did 100 laps on a 12K and saw no difference. I guess if your edge sucked to begin with, you wouldn't notice a difference, but I've done that and I can't get past like 30-ish laps without really picking up a distraction. And I don't think I've ever needed like more than 10 or 12 passes on a 12K, but that's me, Anyway, so that's my bit on tape. It's no big deal. Just one of those things. I want to put that out there. I want to show the tape, talk about it a little bit. People ask, hey, do you hone on tape? Yeah, sometimes not. I don't like it. It's this extra step. If I don't have to do it, like, why would I want to bring that drama into my life? It's just an extra step for what? To save hone wear? And I'm not the guy that cares about that most of the time. And when I do, then I deal with it, and it's still no big freaking deal. Those Greaves razors, I've had them years. I have only ever had to go back to the stones a couple of times to do like finishing touches. And, if I didn't have to protect the spines, I wouldn't use the tape. It wouldn't matter. The bevel angle just wouldn't be changing from that. It's just not something that would be happening. In case you're wondering what this is, it's Bloodspot Keter. A favorite stone of mine. Very hard, very rare. The blood spot is actually, you can see it. It's right there. I don't know how these stones come up with that name outside of, like, obviously it looks like a blood spot in the middle of the stone, but it's actually like a thing, in certain circles. I don't think it's an official thing with like the Kyoto Whetstone Association, but certainly a lot of people, users that like, there are guys in Japan, they've seen pictures of the stone and they're like, whoa. I tell you, I'm honing on it right now, and it is every bit that, whoa, this is an incredible stone. I'm actually very fortunate. I have two. I got this one, and then another one came in. Probably going to keep one. This one, I don't know, it might be the other one. I'm going back and forth. That's what I was doing today. I was honing. I've been honing my ass off all weekend long. I have a ton of stones that came in, a veritable shit ton of Nagura to get through. It's like off camera, like I'm just going to grab this. All right, that's like one run. All right, there are many of them here. Over on the kitchen table, there's a bunch of Shobu, a couple of Azuko, a bunch of Nakayama, a couple of Makawa, a ginormous Koma. Beautiful stone. They're sealing. And I'm doing a lot of testing all weekend. I haven't gotten away from the sink, really. I've been literally eating right here at the sink just so I can get a handle on the stones. I think it's important for me to hone on the stones that I put up on my site and into Etsy so I can have a good understanding of them. I can always be wrong, and stones can always change with lapping or whatever because they're natural stones. And, the stone could be like, up to here, it could be one way. You can see the red striping. And it can change, after you lap down past it. But at least out of the gate, when I'm talking to somebody about a stone, I say, hey, what's this like? Or I'm looking for this or that. I can speak intelligently. I'm not just working on like that bullshit osmosis some people run with. So consequently, I spend a lot of time at the sink when I'm in this type of position with an abundance of rock. And I mean, I love to hone, so it's like not a problem or anything. And the other thing is you know, I'm not some big like powerhouse out there, and I you know, I have a little Etsy shop. I sell stone here and there, so it's not like, you know, I'm thinking about like needing to quit my day job, because that's not it. My day job is my regular thing. The honing and the razors, that's just like advanced hobbyism taking a new turn. Yeah, but this weekend, last weekend, actually the last few weekends, a whole bunch of things just kind of fell into place, and so I'm kind of like getting through all of it right now. And to be honest, that 300-gram comber I told you about, I can't get my hands off of it. It's like, man, you know, it's honing, so I don't want to say anything that's like utterly ridiculous, but it's just, you know, honing on it is amazing. It's just amazing. This right here, this blade is this gold dollar that I dropped the bevel angle down, and the exact numbers are not important, and I'm not even going to tell you what it is, because I don't want somebody saying, well, Keith does this or that or whatever, because I said I did this with this one blade. Basically, all I did was drop it down lower than 19, appreciably so I could have a little bit steeper angle and be happier with the shave. And that's exactly what happened, okay? And it does shave a lot better. The thing is like, I've been using it a lot, and it just does not get through the fourth shave as well as I want it to. That the other razor in yellow scales, that heavy grind, I can shave on that 30, 40 days straight, stropping, no problem, right? Yeah, so, I don't know, I think that razor cost me all like $12. Investment-wise, it is what it is. Franken razor works very well. This, I can beat the hell out of this, and I don't care. And that's basically what it's all about. And it's helping me actually to like get through a lot of testing. I'm going back and forth with actually all three of those razors, because, well, 3 different types of steel, 3 different grinds, you know, essentially hollow, essentially wedge, and then something in the middle. And you may think it's nuts to approach this that way, and you might be right, but that's how I like to do stuff. Anyway, I have some more honing to go on with this. Anyway, all right, so one thing before I go, just want to remind everyone, look, you know, sometimes I talk, I get intense, I say stuff, seems to piss people off sometimes. I don't really care. You know, I'm me, this is how I think, this is how I am, but I just want to like make sure that I'm not projecting like constant angst or even any level of angst. It's all really unimportant to me at the end of the day. What is important is, like, you know, for me, I hone, I have fun. I think getting into straight razors is a lot of fun, and I like to keep it fun. All right, so I think if you're getting into it, one of the things to always keep up front is to focus on the enjoyment, you know, the hobby, the aspect, that aspect of it, and you know, talking with people and having fun. Well, I guess that's the only thing. You got to do it. You got to hone. You got to get in there, and if you just stay focused on, you know, having fun, then you know it's a lot more lighthearted. Anybody that, you know, purports differently, I don't know, stay the hell away from them, because it's just shaving. Anyway, have fun, and talk to you guys soon.